Hello there, friend, and welcome back to another edition of the Premier Investments and Wealth Management Financial Program. My name is Doug Wagner. I'm your host, and we're going to introduce the two gentlemen in the room with me in a matter of moments. But before I do that, I want to tell you about this Forbes 2025 Best in State Wealth Management team at Premier Investments and Wealth Management. Go to premieriwm.com. Again, website, premieriwm.com. Click on Get Started just to answer a few questions. If you don't know if you're ready for retirement yet, you'll get to find out because they're going to provide for you a one-page financial plan. They call it the Premier Vision Document. Whether it's retirement, whether it's saving for your children's education, maybe you want a legacy to leave for the future. Maybe you just want to make it to retirement and have some money in your account. It's awfully nice to have a financial plan. And you know what? You go to premieriwm.com, click Get Started. They'll give you a free financial plan. Just sit down, free no obligation consultation with them. Again, premieriwm.com or call for your appointment, 800-383-6590. Now, introducing the new sheriff in town, Elias Randall is a vice president and wealth advisor at Premier Investments and Wealth Management. Sheriff, good to see you again.
Doug, good to see you. There you go, the double gun.
Exactly.
There you go.
Ready to go. Ready for a good shoe?
That's right.
Let's do it.
Always ready.
All right.
Born ready.
Bring it in as well. With over 21 years of experience in the financial services industry, he's an accredited investment fiduciary. He's the president. He's also a wealth advisor, Premier Investments and Wealth Management. Other than dad and husband, maybe the other title is the big kahuna. Roger Abel, it's good to see you again.
Good to see you, Doug.
Yeah, let's do this. It's a perfect time to do this because you know what? Tax season's over with for most everybody, and we're getting into the time where everybody is saying, I need to start making a way toward a nice, easy summertime. The market's doing what the market's doing. Let's declutter your retirement finances. Maybe you don't have a lot of accounts, but there are a lot of people that you know that have accounts all over the place. Talk to me about, Roger, what you've seen, maybe the worst case scenario you've seen of having little accounts here and there, with a friend who started out in the insurance industry and then somebody moved in, stuff like that.
Well, we kind of refer to that as financial planning a la carte.
Okay.
One here, one there, like you said.
Yeah.
I don't know the worst situation. And people have the misunderstanding that more accounts equals more diversification.
Okay.
You have exactly the same thing over and over. And I know we titled this Declutter Your Retirement Finances, but I do think everybody should try to just declutter their finances. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be in retirement to do this. But there's a lot of problems with having stuff everywhere. First, do you really know what you have?
Yeah.
So you asked biggest offenders. I do remember a meeting. I had an individual come in here, and she came in with 4 Target sacks of statements. And she's a very good customer. She had no idea how much money she had. She didn't know where it was. So the advantage to her is because she didn't know, she just kept investing and wasn't worried about it. So we helped her bring it all together. And now there's a lot more clarity around, what the strategies are, where her money is. But one of the big things, you might be paying a lot of extra fees. I mean, if you have 15 investment accounts, if you have an IRA, most of them have IRA custodial fees. And while they may not be large, they may be $40 or $10 or $100. Mm-hmm. To multiply that over 10, it starts to add up, especially if they're doing exactly the same thing. Right. So one is fees. The other thing that I like to talk with people about, and I might be skipping a little bit, is it's organization for when something happens to you.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, we all are going to pass away. How easy do you want this to be for somebody when you're no longer here? Mm-hmm. I think about my situation. In most families, one person's the money driver, and one person's kind of along for the ride. Just that's how I see it. Very rarely do you have two people that are highly engaged in the investment portion of their life. Well, for the person who's not as engaged, don't you want this to just be the simplest handoff ever?
Yeah.
Versus having to track down all of these different accounts in different locations. And I have multiple scenarios of why this is detrimental to the inheriting spouse if that happens.
And here's a wonderful opportunity for you to take heart to this, because I think everybody's got a situation. I know of somebody where it was one spouse can basically had a hold of everything, and before they could get everything done that they wanted to get done, they passed. And it was really difficult for that other spouse to try to step in and figure out exactly what had happened, because they knew what the spouse wanted, but the financial professional didn't. And when they were trying to talk, they weren't speaking the same language because they just didn't have the opportunity to do so. Elias, also something that is critical too, especially nowadays, is the more accounts you have, the more opportunity you have to get hacked or your information to be pilfered by somebody somewhere, some way, somehow.
Yeah, I was thinking about that a little bit, because just the more accounts you have out there, probably with the more logins you have, the more passwords, it's just more stuff to keep track of. Here's the good news for any listeners that come into Premier to do a financial plan with us is one of the first things we're going to do is help you organize all these statements and these finances. So I think whenever I hear the word declutter, my mind immediately goes to, man, that sounds like a big project. I don't even really know if I want to get started on
Get out of my garage.
Right? Yeah, because the things that you need decluttered, what is it? It's your garage, your kitchen,
The junk drawer.
The junk drawer. It's
Oh my God.
Well, those things got that way because I didn't want to think about it.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, good point. Yeah.
Right. Or else it wouldn't, if I was really thoughtful about that, it wouldn't be, the garage wouldn't be in the state it is. And I would know where all my tools are sitting when I need to use them. But I think the good news.
I'm so guilty.
It hurts.
Anyway.
About every other month you go out there and
I
kind
know.
of act like you're making progress, push to a different corner.
I
Right.
distracted you. Go ahead. I apologize.
Yeah. So, but I think, if someone were to take what we call it our welcome pack, it's a small homework assignment we give people. If you were to take that, that is a great starting place to start to organize your finances. The first page, it has a list of documents that we need to even start to figure out, is there any way we can help you?
Yeah.
And then there's also other steps in there that help you get organized. So I think, if I'm listening to this and I hear, oh man, declutter, that does not sound like something I want
Right.
to do. Well, the good news is it is something that we can help you do. And I think one of the main reasons people come to us is because they want help. They want to set themselves up for success.
Right.
I think through that process, so they really appreciate how we've helped them organize their financial life.
And Elias, that steps into the 7 ways to better organize your retirement finances or your finances anywhere in general. PremierIWM.com is the website for Forbes 2025 Best in State Wealth Management Team at Premier Investments and Wealth Management. You can request your appointment online at PremierIWM.com. When you go to that website, click Get Started, answer a few questions. They'll provide you with the Premier Vision document. It's a 1-page financial plan, and they'll give you a free meeting along with them to go over that. You can take that with you, that 1-page document. When you're done, you can have that. You know what? I've been with Premier Investments Wealth Management. I've seen that. I think you're probably going to stick with them and that 1-page Premier Vision document as well. PremierIWM.com or call 800-383-6590. Roger Abel, we hit number 1 out of 7 ways to organize your finances. So what about number 2 at this point? It sort of gets down into there as well. A lot of people don't realize how many credit cards they have until they actually sit down and look at them.
I mean, you really don't need more than 1 or 2. But think about what happens to people with credit cards. You took one out because you bought a sofa here, and you took out a Best Buy because you had a 0% TV here. Next thing you know, you got a dozen or 2 dozen of these credit cards. And people don't want to close them down because that does affect your credit in a negative manner. But you should know where all of them are at. Oh, come on, man.
How many do you have in there?
How many you got? Count them.
1, 2, 3, 4. There's 10 right
Do you
there.
own a business?
No.
So why do you have 10 credit cards?
That's
Just
a good
because you
question.
have them?
Yeah, because I have them.
Why do you feel the need to carry all of them at one time?
You know what? To balance, I got a bad hip on
Let
this
me
side,
tell you,
so-
that looks like a huge pain in the butt. Ask Molly about when my business credit card
Yeah.
got stolen, how much it is to unwind.
Ooh.
But I get why you don't want to shut them down.
I'll tell you this, because instead of doing those anymore, you know what I do? I hit the button on my phone to just pay with the Apple Pay.
Yeah.
Literally.
So I think step one, everybody should know, hey, these are the credit cards I have.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the logins, and make sure they're all set up on auto pay. Because you don't know when you had some reoccurring transaction go on a credit card you don't use anymore, and you'd hate to have a negative effect in your credit because you forgot to make the $25 payment.
Right.
Or a card had an annual subscription fee you didn't realize was on it, and you missed the payment. So now you have a $25 late charge. Your credit gets hit. Make sure you know how many credit cards you have. Log in and make sure they're all set up to auto pay. And auto pay might just be the minimum. Just don't ever miss a payment.
Yeah.
Now, so you have 10 cards. You should be able to get it down to 2.
Yeah.
So I carry 4 cards. I carry a business credit card, a business debit card, a personal debit card, personal credit card.
Right.
I have more cards than that, but I don't take them with me because my fear is I get my wallet stolen. I lose my wallet. Now I got to go unwind 10 of those things instead of 2 or 4. And if you don't know which ones you have, how are you going to go shut them down?
Yeah. It's a good point. See, I'm learning right along with you here in Premier
Doug's going to
Investments.
come back with 2 cards in there. Now, when I go on vacation, I will tell you, if I go on vacation, I will take an extra credit card or 2.
Right.
I don't carry my wallet. I'll put it in a different spot, but I will take an extra one because I'm like, man, what if my wallet gets stolen? What if something happens? I might need money to get home. Yeah. But that's the only time I carry more than those cards.
It's going to cost me $50 to get a different wallet because that thing is so stretched out. It's just kind of like, it's bad.
It's pretty full.
It's bad. It's time to apply the same thinking to retirement accounts because there are some people who, again, you go through life and you have a number of friends who become financial planners and you're like, ooh, an IRA here. Then you leave a business and you get your 401k and you flip it out into your IRA, and you may do that. You may have a couple of these different accounts. Like Roger said, you're making fee payments all over the place.
You are, and there's less, and who even knows how that money is being managed too. So there's a lot of times, and I think this is a good time, and I think an event in people's lives that they'll reach out and want to talk, and it's one of the best times to do it. If you have some old 401k accounts out there, or even one, you just recently changed jobs and you're not sure what to do with the 401k at the job you just left, that is a good time to work with your financial professional to figure out what are my options for this? How do I keep all this organized the way I want to? And, and any firm can help you do what's called a rollover. That's a way to move money from a 401k to an IRA to avoid tax and penalty. And it's a very good exercise to do. Whether you have 2 or 3 out there from years and years ago, you have 1 out there from a recent job change. But that is a good exercise to go through to keep you organized, and it's something your professional can help you do.
Yeah, it's interesting because not very often during these Premier Investments and Wealth Management shows, Roger Abel, do we talk about insurance. We do. It's always sort of a side conversation. Make sure that you have the right amount of insurance to cover what your needs are, stuff like this. It's a really good time for you to start reviewing insurance as well because you want to declutter your retirement finances or just your finances in general.
Yeah, I mean, decluttering in the general term is really how do I simplify? I kind of like simplification better.
Right.
I think our industry likes to make things complicated. They don't have to be. When it comes to insurance, if we're going to look at it, well, first we figure out how much you need and for how long.
Yeah.
Those are the first 2 things. And insurance can be one of the hard ones to clean up, Doug, because if you took let's just say you took a term insurance policy out 10 years ago and you took one 5 years later, and today you need another $500,000. Let's say those other policies are $500,000 total.
Right.
Well, okay, you need $1 million of coverage. We probably aren't recommending that someone goes and takes out a new $1 million policy today and gets rid of the old ones. Because remember, those old policies were taken out if we're talking about life insurance at that age
Yeah.
and that health. So it gets a little bit more complicated with insurance, particularly life insurance, which is age-based when issued. That's the one place, if I was an individual, I wouldn't get overly aggressive. I would make sure I have the right amount of coverage. But I wouldn't just say, well, I got to get rid of everything and get to one policy. I don't know. I mean, it would make things simpler, but it's not always the best situation to put somebody into.
You know, Premier Investments in Wealth Management, by the way, premieriwm.com is the website. You can check them out. They've got lots of really good downloadable stuff. Like, for example, this program is available both audio and video. Check out YouTube as well. They're a Forbes 2025 Best in-State Wealth Management team at Premier Investments in Wealth Management. Just two of the folks here, Elias and Roger, I'm talking to, but they've got a full front office. They've got a full back office that can help you figure out a way to simplify not only your retirement finances, but your everyday finances. There's so many things that they can do for you, so much advice that they have because they've been doing this for dozens of years. The amount of expertise they have in here is remarkable. Get your appointment online at premieriwm.com or call 800-383-6590. It's not on the outline that we have, Elias, but I think something else that's kind of important too is something I've learned is that if you have a significant financial stake in life, no matter what it is, I mean, for me, it's like the house and your retirement finances, things like that. It's not a bad idea to sit down and talk with your insurance person about. For me, I've got an umbrella insurance policy for liability. And for me, it just makes sense because I'm a public figure. Something happens to me or something happens in the public eye, maybe review those sort of things to see if that's something that you may need, or even your home insurance and auto insurance policies too, to make sure you preserve your money.
So insurance is really a risk management tool. And I think if people really started to examine it through that lens, it's not really something that should just be, I'm going to go buy the cheapest coverage. I know no one likes paying premiums on insurance, right? But it is good to understand. And like you just mentioned, you have an umbrella policy. There's simple things like that you can do that are relatively affordable that just allow you to have more protection in your life from bigger events that could cause you to be out of pocket a lot of money.
Yeah.
So just understanding how all those things work together and that you have the coverage that you really need.
And I remember you talking about, Roger, that, you have the people that you work with, they may not be the least expensive, but you've got the relationships built with them so that you can depend on them.
Yeah, I think most people shop insurance on price. And I believe that's probably the wrong way to do it. My situation, because I have a business, I have my personal stuff, I was with a firm where they had me with 3 or 4 different insurance companies. They were shopping to get me the lowest price. But in the back of my mind, I was like, is this actually done right? And I could never talk to the same person because there's a bunch of turnover. Finally, I took it to one place. I know it's not the cheapest, but it is the place that gives me the most peace of mind. And that's why we're buying insurance. The only reason you buy insurance is to pay for stuff you can't afford.
Right.
In fact, I know a family in town. They drive brand new cars. They have liability only on their cars. That's it. Because they're paid in cash. And if they get in an accident, it's their fault. They can afford to replace the car. No big deal. But they're like, I don't need more than liability. I can afford to replace a $100,000 car.
Yeah.
Most people can't afford to do that. You mentioned the umbrella policy. It's probably one of the ways most people are massively underinsured. They don't even know it. In my former life, we used to own an auto and home agency as well, which we sold to a different organization. It was my favorite thing to do. But most people don't understand what coverage they have when they're going down the road. And if they did, it's not enough. You tell me, Doug, if you get in an accident on the interstate and you fall asleep at the wheel and you happen to hit a surgeon in town, what are they going to sue you for? And let's say you hit them and they pass away. Millions. You don't have millions of dollars of coverage unless you have an umbrella policy. And arguably, It's really inexpensive. And guess when nobody wants to buy an umbrella policy? When they have kids. Guess why? It's 4 times as much money when you have a teen driver. I remember I have a client over in Kansas City, and it's a physician. And he didn't have a liability policy. He's got 3 teenage drivers. I said, you don't have a liability umbrella? No. I said, call up your agent today. Tell him you need one for $5 million.
Yeah.
Sends me an email. He's like, it's X amount. Is that right? And I said, let me call someone that's in the industry and just verify.
Yeah, compare, yeah.
They said, first thing they said, how many teenage drivers do they have? I told them, like, oh, yeah, that's what he's going to pay. Yeah. And then I explained it to him. It clicked and made sense for him. He's like, yeah, you're right. If something happens and they're driving my car, ultimately the blowback's coming on me. So liability coverage is massively underestimated from an insurability standpoint. I do have a comment about, we're talking about decluttering and simplifying. Right. And we had this situation happen with a customer who the husband was the primary driver of the finances in the family. And he was a really good saver and shopper. I mean, he'd find the best interest rate that was a quarter point higher, but he had probably 5 or 6 different banking relationships, a couple online ones. And when he passed away, the spouse now, who really didn't do much of this, but she's sharp, she's sharp and with it. Yeah. She's trying to manage this and she can't figure it out. And Elias and I had a meeting with her and said, you know what? Forget the interest rate you're earning. Figure out which bank you like the best and get all your cash there. We don't care if you're earning 0.5% more somewhere. Get all your money in one spot to make this simple, because it is stressing you out mentally to manage it. And you have all the money you're ever going to need. Don't worry about the best interest rate all the time or the lowest interest rate. Yeah. Get the situation that fits what you're trying to accomplish. And once we did that with her, she feels so much better about it. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, it used to be we'd come in here and talk for 25 minutes about the savings account over here that pays 0.15% more, but they have to swipe their debit card, 15 times a month as credit and all that. I said, why are we doing that for a small little interest rate? It's just confusion. You're in your 70s. Just simplify things. And I think that's the takeaway from today's show is, how do I simplify things? Yeah. Doug, it's why we do the one-page plan. Yeah.
There you go.
It's why we do it. It's not that the 127-page financial planning document's not meaningful, but most people don't want to get in the weeds. Right. I went out to a meeting over in Omaha the other day, and the guy he's like, hey, can you bring me the financial plan? So I printed all 127 pages, but I had the one page with it. I said, do you want the 127 or do you want the one page? He goes, tell me about the one page. I said, well, that's everything that's in here. Just extrapolate it out. He goes, I'll take the one page. Thank you. Yeah. Because it's that thick.
No, it makes sense. I mean, and this is the thing that I really love about getting on this show, is because we can get into the weeds in these things and we can sort of take a left turn into somewhere else. And then we always come right back to where we're supposed to be, is decluttering your finances. And you're talking about insurance and simplifying. You're talking about accounts and different interest rates and how much mental challenge it makes it. One of the most challenging things for people as we come into the final 3 minutes of the program, Elias, health insurance. Simplifying your health insurance, especially as you make your way toward retirement. It can be complicated, but you can make it less complicated.
It can, and complication does not always mean that it's good. So complicated doesn't always equal good. But all of it, and I don't want to take away from the importance of all these things, especially with something like your health insurance. Right. As you're in your retired ages, you're coming up on Medicare age. I think one thing that people could do to make sure they have a comprehensive plan is they could work with a health insurance agent to figure out what are the options and what should I have. And when I say when it's complicated, doesn't mean it's good. I don't want to take away from the importance of doing all these things. They should be done right, and they should be done thoughtfully, and there should be some planning that goes along with this to make these decisions. But I just think of some of the most successful families we work with, some of the most successful people I know, they've all done a very good job of making good decisions and also kind of simplifying their process and their decision-making process. And with something like Medicare, once you've made your decision and you got that going, it's really, you've decided, and that's really what you're going to continue to have.
It's really interesting as we finish up, Roger. One of the things you said through all the volatility of the market, there are so many people that you've worked with, they have a financial plan, so your phone's not ringing off the hook because the financial plan has sussed in the volatility in the market. For
the most part, I probably had 5 or 6 phone calls, and it's kind of the same people who, every time there's market disturbance or volatility, it's the same people who like to call. And that's okay. We counsel them through it and we get them through, and it'll happen again next time. Now, this time we do have one person who hasn't called. They usually do. I'm actually shocked, but he's really bought into the idea of the planning. In fact, he's an individual and he's been with me a long time. In 2018, when the tariff thing was going on, people forget this happened in 2018.
Right.
Fourth quarter market went down like 18%. He asked if we should go to cash. I said, let's go to your financial plan. Let's see what happens if we go to all cash. And took his probability of success from 70% to 0. Same thing happened in 2020. Let's see what the plan says, 0. 22, same thing. Guess what? He didn't call this time. But he's finally realized that we've got him in the right spot. I think the other thing is we had a meeting in January and he's retiring. And I said, hey, we're going to have 3 years of cash here for you. So you don't really need to worry about what the equity market does. And he has a plan. So he's no longer worried about having enough money to live on. He knows he's got 3 years to make it through.
Premier Investments and Wealth Management. Simplify your finances. PremierIWM.com or call 800-383-6590.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC. The opinions voiced in this show are for general information purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial or tax advisor prior to investing. Premier Investments and Wealth Management and LPL Financial do not provide tax advice. Please consult your tax professional. Economic forecasts set forth may not develop as predicted, and there can be no guarantee that strategies promoted will be successful. There's no guarantee that a diversified portfolio will enhance overall returns or outperform a non-diversified portfolio. Diversification does not protect against market risk. All performance referenced is historical and is not a guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and cannot be invested into directly. There is no assurance that the techniques and strategies discussed are suitable for all investors or will yield positive outcomes. The purchase of certain securities may be required to affect some of the strategies. Investing involves risks, including possible loss of principal. A plan participant leaving an employer typically has 4 options and may engage in a combination of these options, each choice offering advantages and disadvantages. Those options include leave the money in their former employer's plan, if permitted, roll over the assets to their new employer's plan if one is available and rollovers are permitted, roll over to an IRA, or cash out the account value. This recording contains only general descriptions and is not a solicitation to sell any insurance product or security, nor is it intended as any financial or tax advice. For information about specific insurance needs or situations, contact your financial professional. This video is intended to assist in educating you about insurance generally and not to provide personal service. They may not take into account your personal characteristics such as budget, assets, risk tolerance, family situation, or activities which may affect the type of insurance that would be right for you. In addition, state insurance laws and insurance underwriting rules may affect available coverage and its costs. Guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing company. If you need more information or would like personal advice, you should consult an insurance professional. Wealth Management Team's ranking was developed by Shook Research and is based on in-person, virtual, and telephone due diligence meetings and a ranking algorithm that includes a measure of each team's best practices, client retention, industry experience, review of compliance records, firm nominations, and quantitative criteria, including assets under management and revenue generated for their firms. Investment performance is not a criterion because client objectives and risk tolerances vary, and advisors rarely have audited performance reports. Shook's research and rankings provide opinions intended to help investors choose the right financial advisor and team and are not indicative of future performance or representative of any one client's experience. Past performance is not an indication of future results. Neither Forbes nor Shook Research receive compensation in exchange for placement on the ranking. For more information, please see www.shookresearch.com. Shook is a registered trademark of Shook Research, LLC.